Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. They do the double this season over their West London rivals. They go above Manchester United in the Premier League. They go above Newcastle United in the Premier League. And just 8 points now off of a top 5 position. Only 9 points away from a top 4 position now. And for Chelsea, look, there's still much to criticise in terms of the overall outlook. The Wednesday night defeat of Middlesbrough. But they're a team now. And listen, there are things to talk about in terms of improvements. This is their 3rd win on the bounce in the Premier League for the first time this season. It is the first time in 4 years that they have won 4 home games on the bounce in the Premier League, which you think for a club like Chelsea is almost ridiculous. There is more that needs to improve. Killing games off absolutely needs to happen for this side. There is no doubt about that. I don't think even the most diehard Chelsea fan could delve into it. Still, I know Chelsea fans are not happy with some of the manager's decisions, bringing on Chilwell but putting him at left attacking, like on the wing, leaving Chilwell in that position where he still again today looked a little bit exposed at times. That is going to cause some issues for a lot of people. Because there is some talent. There is some real talent in this team. I thought midfield-wise, I thought Caicedo and Enzo were excellent today for Chelsea. I really do. I thought the performance of their defenders, although there was a couple of tackles that we'll get onto later, I thought the likes of Gusto, I thought Silva, they had really good games. Yes, a few late tackles, but that's part of the course. Some really good clearances, some really good blocks. Stopping Fulham really creating too many gilt-edged chances. There was only really the save that Petrovic had to make from Harry Wilson in the first half. Really was the only time that Chelsea were in any danger. A few scrambly moments towards the end of that second half. Outside of it, they defended pretty resolutely. The problem is it's that consistency in front of goal killing these games off. What Chelsea need are more Cole Palmers. What Chelsea need is Mauricio Pochettino playing people in their natural positions and making, I think, some more positive substitutions. I think with 15 minutes to go in that game, and I want to say about 15 minutes, I'm looking here, it was 77 minutes plus injury, more than 15 minutes in totality, taking off Raheem Sterling for Ben Chilwell. Cole Palmer came off pretty late. A lot of their subs were negative. I think Chelsea had to go for that second goal and kill the game off. Now, they won in the end. They did go on to win. But that second goal put the game to bed so you can enjoy the last 10 minutes of the game, reserve a little bit of energy, and move on to the next one. So I do think these elements here are going to be frustrating. I also think as well, when, Fulham have had a busy week as well. They had 1 day less rest. I think there'll be a lot of frustration there for Chelsea fans. Although, listen, 4 home wins on the bounce for the first time in 4 years, 3 wins on the bounce in the Prem, 4 wins in your last 5 Premier League games now, and only a handful of points away from some serious European positions. There is still something to fight for and move forward and kind of come together on. I do want to talk about a decision in this game, though. And that comes down to the potential red card. This picture was obviously posted by the BBC on social media. Gusto sent off for the tackle on the top earlier on in the season, and then only receiving a yellow card for the tackle below today. Many saying there's an inconsistency here. Many stating that Fulham were robbed and it should have been a red card, and it would have, of course, changed the course of the game. I really want to gather your opinions. I really want to gather what you think and feel. For me personally, I'm going to be honest with you, although the same area of the leg has been hit, I personally think there's a difference in these 2 tackles. The difference being, in the first one on top, that is at the full extent of the lunge and extension of Gusto's tackle. Where in the one above, he goes for the ball and just misses it, and the contact is made at the beginning of that thrust. So it's less dangerous. Therefore, for me, I believe a yellow card was the correct decision here. When you slow it down and look at it from multiple angles, it can look worse. I actually think, and I'm not a big defender at all here of VAR, I think red, listen, I understand the argument. I do. I think it's a 50-50. But I believe due to where on the leg it hit, if you look at the actual context of the tackle and the fact that there was no lunge and there was no real follow through and he was attempting to pull his leg out of the tackle, I think all those factors make it a yellow card just for me. Just. If there was more follow through, if there was more of a lunge into the air, those little factors change it, it would have been a red. I think they just about got this one correct. Just about. If it was given as a red card, though, I wouldn't be sitting there going, what an absolute travesty. Gusto here was right on the edge of receiving his second straight red of the season, which would have been a 4-game suspension. And if I'm honest with you, if Gusto would have got sent off today, I think Fulham would have won this game. I think that they're that vulnerable right now, Chelsea, that is what it would have led to. But for me personally, I think, it could have gone either way. It's the definition of a 50-50 tackle means it's so close. And if either decision was given, I don't think there's too much cause for outrage, if I'm being honest. But that's my view. You may have a different one. Let us know in the comments section below now. I've got to speak Cole Palmer. And do you know what really annoys me about the way Potter's got Chelsea playing? They're winning games, and that needs to be praised. Yes, it does. You can't take that away from them. For some people, we've seen the rhetoric change recently when it comes to Arsenal. Playing well and not winning is unsustainable. It's all about winning. When it comes to Chelsea, people are saying that the quality of the wins is what's unsustainable, and they've got to start playing better, producing better. And I think there's a happy medium between those two things. But of course, it's 2024. People call it the year of facts. I call it the year of extreme polarization. But for me, the football still isn't quite fluid enough. And I think that's partly too much chopping and changing for a team with no European football. I think that there's a severe lack of confidence amongst many, many of the players in this Chelsea team. And some of that is on the manager again, in my personal and humble opinion. I look at Cole Palmer, though, and you can see a player who has come from a team like Chelsea, Man City, a club such as theirs, with a manager like Pep. He's come into Chelsea and he's full and brimming with confidence. A lot of the other players, when you just go through their names, they're either young and up and coming, or they've already been at Chelsea. And they don't have that same ice cold winning edge coursing through their veins that Cole Palmer does. Now, Cole Palmer, for me, is maybe the most talented and technically gifted player I've seen at Chelsea since Eden Hazard. I don't believe he's as gifted as Eden Hazard, but he's the most gifted since him. So please don't twist that statement as many do online. My fear for Palmer is that this could be slowly eroded from him if Chelsea's overarching confidence, winning mentality, and togetherness does not start to progress. Because I thought again today he was excellent and one of the very reasons as to why Chelsea performs so well, in my humble opinion. But I do think that when it comes to Chelsea, Potter's got to do a lot more work on the chemistry. He's got to do a lot more work on the togetherness. And a lot of that will come from just training drills. Where are the patterns of play? So when you watch Fulham today, Fulham don't have the overarching quality Chelsea do on the ball. They just don't. But every time they attacked, it was a similar looking pattern. Well worked, well drilled. The players knew, generally speaking, where to be and at what time. Now we look at Chelsea and think you've got better technical players. Younger, more experienced, but better. And if the patterns of play were more regular, maybe if the football was, and this is a suggestion, maybe he's overcomplicating things. Maybe he's galaxy braining too much and it's confusing these young players. Keep it basic, more repetition, more drills. I think that will lead to more open chances because sometimes they get the ball in really good positions and it's like they don't know what they're meant to do with the ball at that point. And I kind of feel is if you took these players out and you put them into a and you put them into a Pep team for a few months or a Klopp team for a few months, you would see very different players. And Chelsea are a little bit of a conundrum. Chelsea are a bit of a difficult team to read at this moment in time. Where does the blame lie? Who should you criticize? Is it on the manager? Does he deserve more time, etc., etc.? I want to get your opinions on this, but for me, make the football a bit more simplistic, more repetition, more drills on these patterns of play in the attacking areas. And I think you'll start to see Chelsea win more. And once that confidence starts to grow, once that mentality starts to rise up, once that winning cold nature that you need to be at the top starts to course through more of their veins, as it does Cole Palmer, this Chelsea team can become more dangerous. They still need to go and buy more experience. That isn't going to change much in the next few months. They're still going to have games they don't win because of a lack of experience. Cole Palmer or no Cole Palmer, that's going to happen. That can only be fixed in the transfer window or wait 2 to 3 years. But no one's going to do that, right? So that's what they need to do. I get a lot of Chelsea fans are calling for Poch out. Got to give him credit where credit's due. He's orchestrated the first time in 4 years your club winning 4 home games on the bounce. It's a crazy stat when you deep it. 4 wins from your last 5 Premier League games. There's certainly things for him to improve on. Not playing players out of position is key. Less defensive substitutions in those moments to kill games off and simplify the football. More repetition, create better, easier to follow patterns of play for these young players. You'll kill more games off. That'll buy him more time, and it will help Chelsea with this rebuild, in my personal opinion. Do me a big favor and smash the like button this morning. If you haven't done so already, I want to get your views. I want to get your opinions. We're going to be bringing Ches out in a minute. I'm going to share the link if people want to call in. I'm not too sure. Oh, I don't know what the hell I just did there. I pressed the button and something else crazy happened. I'm going to share a link if people want to call in and have their say on the show. I've enjoyed doing that again recently, unearthing some really good fans and good opinions out there as well. Ches will be joining us in a few moments' time as well. I'm waiting for my post. There it is. I can pin the live comments so you guys can see it. Let's have a look at some of these super chats first. The Enzo hate is forced. GA isn't everything. Do you know what I find really interesting? I don't think GA is everything. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's an important part of football for particular roles. I don't necessarily think the role that Enzo plays is dictated by GA. Michael Carrick's wasn't, Claude Makelele's wasn't, Patrick Vieira's wasn't, Yaya Touré's wasn't, per se. They scored some goals, they did some things, but it was never about the goals with those players. The assists. It wasn't even about the creativity with those individuals. So I totally agree. Look, I think with Enzo, I've been asking the question a lot recently, and we know that questions in 2024 triggers people. Do you believe that? No, I'm asking the question because I see people say it. I do believe the biggest issue for the midfield of Chelsea is the lack of literal experience, and that's what they need to help improve them. Roman Abramovich here says, Poch out, Bowley, Clearlake out. Terry, it's a miracle we're not 10th anymore. No, you're not. Well, you're not unless Newcastle and Man United both win this week. And then it'll be 10th again. But I don't see both Man United and Newcastle winning. So you should remain in the top 8. Chelsea fans talk about United non-stop, rent-free. We're all rent-free in each other's minds. Of course we are. We're all rivals. It's the way it's meant to be. It's how it's meant to be. They need to get their act together in the second half. Only team in the Prem that has not had that has not training med at the half. I don't know what you mean. Poch being out coached. Sorry, only team in the Prem that has not training med at the half. I don't know what you mean by that, Moose. I literally don't get what you mean. Maybe people in the comments get what you're saying there. I don't quite get it. Maybe I'm misreading it. I don't think Poch was outclassed in the second half per se. I just think that there's a nervousness and he's got to find a way of making the team perform better through it. Terry, talk about how bad these American owners are. Look, so far, they haven't made enough of the right decisions. The biggest rectification of their mistakes is buying experience. If you suddenly now could go out and buy 3 top-class players that were 26, 27 years of age and put them into the core of this Chelsea team, overnight you would see an improvement. That can only be fixed in the summer window. Oh, not trailing at halftime. So I get what you're saying. Okay, I get what you mean now. Look, yeah, listen, you definitely want to see more aggressive substitutions, maybe an attacking player to kill the game off, as opposed to putting Ben Chilwell on the left wing. Sorry, I can understand that fully. I really can understand where you're coming from there. We're going to bring Chez out now to have his say on this game with us, and we've got some callers coming in with Addy. We've got AJ and a few others coming through as well. Chez, welcome back, mate. An important win, really. Midweek game. You get that 1-0 victory over your West London rivals. Give me your thoughts, bro.
Yeah, man. It's, like the win's the main thing out of the way. And it's good to see that we can get, I think we've won 3 on the bounce now in the Premier League, which is obviously quite good considering we're 10th, which is not the standard, right? And I'm just happy that we got the win. Some performances were a bit iffy, some were okay. And the main thing is obviously pushing up the table and getting a bit of consistency, where be it if the performances aren't 10 out of 10, but you're getting 6 out of 10s, but you win the games. For where we are right now, that's slightly more important than if we were playing well and we had 1 win in 3. So it needs to change, but at the same time, I'm just happy with the points. I mean, yeah, if you want to touch on individual players, we could definitely do that as well.
Yeah. We'll definitely get into that. Winter Surface here with us as well. A good response to the midweek defeat to Middlesbrough. How impressed were you with the team today? Because we've got a lot of people in the comments, Andrew, that are saying Poch out still. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I just had to take my inhaler because we're up to 8th, so we haven't been there for a while. So I'm just got to get my breath back. No, listen, the result is the most important thing. Aspects of it I liked today, aspects I didn't like today, the performance-wise. We're taking too many touches in the box, or one more pass. We haven't got that killer instinct. That's why we were like stressing at the end and clearing the ball like we were playing Sunday League football that you see down on the park sometimes. His substitutions again. I thought Chilwell coming out left wing killed the attack, killed the momentum of the attack, taking Cole Palmer off. I know it was in the 91st minute, but I thought some of his substitutions were a bit weird. Like I say, there was some good individual performance, some not good individual performance. I thought Sterling was not very good against there. I know he won the penalty and everything, but I didn't think he really did anything. Broha again, just not cut out for this level, I don't think. But yeah, this is the most important. This is first part of a trilogy. He has to win, and he did. He's got to win the Middlesbrough game. He's got to win the Villa game to keep the season alive. But yeah, there's still aspects of that. I can understand why people are Poch out. I am, but I'm just not going to force it anymore because I don't think he'll be sacked at all anytime soon. So there's just no point. But I just want to say, Terry, Cole Palmer's the real deal for me. He is. I don't care what rival fans say. No, Palmer's our best player this season. It's not even close. It's not even close. He's our best player this season. Yeah. Some of those touches in the second half were just he's just it. He's just it. And I think for 45 million, Terry, that's looking like a snip. It's looking like a snip.
You know, it is as well. Like, the best players, I'm not comparing him to Salah or Saka. Actually, I don't really rate Saka like that. But let's just say Salah. He doesn't perform in most of his games. He scores 10 out of 10 and takes them. But what he does is he comes up with a clutch moment, a bit of consistency in the game that ends up winning the team the game, right? That bit of a difference. And that's why Palmer's been rated from us. Not because we're saying he's the best player in the world, right? But when he needs to be clutch and perform and have a good pass or a shot or an assist or whatever, he actually delivers very, very consistently. I think he's got quite a lot of GA in like 18 games. He's only played like 18 games. And he's already like one of the top performers in the league. In his first proper full season. He's never played at a professional level before, consistently. City, I think, had a handful of that Premier League experience. So that's why I rate him. And that's why like eye test means more than the stats. Because if you use your eyes, you see Palmer gets involved, not as consistently as you want. And if you use your stats as well, he helps contribute towards wins. So yeah, him. And also, Terry, people don't like to speak on Caicedo and Enzo. When they play well, no one says a word. And I'm going to mention it because I got people here, obviously a bit salty, Chelsea at 8th now, whatever. Enzo Caicedo actually played well today, bro. Like, they actually played well. Like, Enzo, when he plays in a deep position, he gets hold of the ball. He's able to, he has more like periphery of like the attack, and he can distribute balls out. And I thought he was solid the whole game. I don't think he did much wrong. Caicedo as well, a bit lackadaisical with his tackling. But overall, again, like picking the pieces, he got the pre-assist or like the second pre-assist before the Gusto pass to Palmer and then Palmer into Sterling. So those little things I look out for. And that's what I want to see, man. If it works moving forward to play them two, make it work. But again, Conor Gallagher, this is what I said to you, Terry, before when you were telling me the other week, he could be replaced. It's like our attack today, other than Palmer, didn't really do anything. Really. Like what, Broja ran in the channels a little bit, can't really hold the ball. And like, this is what I'm saying to you. I know you have injuries, but like try and be as consistent as possible with your lineups. Like players get injured, it's not your fault. But at the same time, it's like if you just play players in their natural position, that's enough for me. Just keep doing that. I don't know why he keeps persistent Chilwell at left wing today.
Anyone in the chat, we're not saying we're back. We're just,
we'll
get
on some other subjects in a minute. I just want to keep it on Cole Palmer for a minute. Yeah, look, I agree with what you boys are saying. I think that when you look at young players, Cole Palmer is the standard if you want to start talking about maybe not so much generational talents, but when you want to start talking about an individual that's a phrase that's probably used too much without any clear definition behind it is he's not a Chelsea player. He's not a Man United player. He's not an Arsenal player. He's not a City player. And what we all mean by that is he isn't going to be good enough to elevate a team, the team he's at, ever anywhere close towards being consistently competitive in the Champions League and maybe winning the Premier League title. Cole Palmer is. Cole Palmer is absolutely mustard. And look, some people will say, well, you've got to discount his penalties. No, penalties are real goals. We're not going to do that. And I love what you said, Ches. It's just he's constant involvement in the game. He's constant. And sometimes it's a little flick around the corner. Sometimes it's the touch and where he holds the ball up and feeds it into somebody else. Other times it's beating a man. Other times it's breaking a line with a pass. He is consistently involved in what is the most important element of his game, helping to create and or score goals. So listen, his pressing is good at times. He wins the ball back well. And all of these things are good. But the most important element of his game from when in possession is breaking those lines, creating those chances, scoring those goals. And again, he got 100% record of his penalties. People laugh at that. Well, if he only had a 50% record, you miss today, you don't win. This is the crazy element. Imagine being criticized. Imagine being criticized for being good at something. And there's a comment here from Twisted that I love, but makes me laugh at the same time. That's his bloody job. Well, then why the hell are we praising Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo? All they did was their job. This is the irony in it. This is the irony. Every attacking midfield player, because that is what I class Cole Palmer as. He plays attacking midfield, left, right, or center. All of them have the same job, and that is to create or score goals. Why do any of them get praised? In fact, why do we praise any team, any winner? Why does anybody ever get any praise for doing their job? It's that for me is an absolute nonsense. It's derived from Roy Keane, who said what he did about I don't clap the postman when he posts a letter as a joke. Now, it cannot be taken seriously. It's someone that says, don't shout on Messi. You're missing my point then. You're missing the point I'm making. When are we allowed to praise someone for what they do? When they go above and beyond? Well, what is above and beyond? What is above and beyond? Well, Cole Palmer is, I think, the second highest goal scoring or creating under 21 in Europe's top 5 leagues.
Europe, yeah, 100%,
So he's outperforming his peers across the board. So that don't count because he's doing his job.
And also in a Chelsea team,
it's an absolute crazy nonsense. Cole Palmer has been amazing this season. He's one of the signings of the season out of all of the Premier League clubs. And I don't necessarily think that City are sitting there and regretting it.
No,
because they have a brilliant squad. They can afford to cover it. But what a steal at £45 million.
Yeah, like what a bargain for us in terms of we didn't expect it from him. Everyone was probably thinking when he got signed, what's Palmer going to do?
I remember the reaction.
Literally, what everyone was saying was, your squad's already inexperienced. Why are you spending now on £50 million another inexperienced winger, right? And then I kind of agreed with that because obviously I'd never seen him play before properly, other than the Community Shield where he scored a banger. And then he comes in, and then even within the first few games against, was it Nottingham Forest in summer, he was one of the better players when he came on the pitch. And that was one of his first games with Chelsea shirt. So I think There was I think there's a testament to him that he's come in, even with a rubbish team. He could have done what a lot of the players do, Terry, which is like Madueke at the beginning of the season before he became good was like, oh, you know what? You put my head down. Everyone's playing rubbish, so I'll just join in. Palmer's been the only player I can actually say, even within this dross of players, he's actually been the only one who stepped up consistently since the beginning.
And I think that says a lot.
In the future, people remember when he helped us in these bad times. So I just appreciate him for that. To get me that.
So that says a lot. That says a lot about him, and it's not a good look on some of the other players in that squad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That says a lot because you would think you would give him a bit more. He'd maybe see it as a bit more time to settle in. He's come down from. I know it's not like a ocean away, but he's come down south. You know what I mean? He's in a new area, stuff like that. A new team. It's a struggling team. But that just says a lot, and maybe that's the strength of what Pep does to even like the players that are on the outside of his squad, that he gives them enough confidence to go anywhere in the league. And
I totally agree. And quite a few people in the comments are saying that you can't forget his poor performance midweek. He's 21 years of age. He's 21 years of age, and in his first full season as a pro, he's going to have some bad games. Equally, no one of his age should be the star of a team.
No.
If we take the consensus GOAT of all time, Lionel Messi, at 21 years of age, he was out of this world. But look at the senior players around him in that team that were also helping in those games and in moments where he may have been slightly off, because he didn't score at 21 years of age. He wasn't scoring 80, 90 goals in a calendar year. It was later in his career that level came. And that's looking at the best to ever do it. So if the best to ever do it when he was younger was inconsistent by his standards, to not expect that from other young players is an absolute abomination of an opinion. What we're talking about is for a 21-year-old, what a signing he has been. But what Cole Palmer needs is that experience brought to the club, because at his age, he shouldn't be seen as a savior, as a talisman, because what it will lead to is a similar type of burnout we're currently seeing from Bukayo Saka at Arsenal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He should never be he can be part of the main core group, but he needs players 24, 25, 26 with more age on their side, more experience to help him, and that needs to be addressed in your transfer windows.
Yeah, and on your point, to piggyback your point, if other players were stepping up like he was, not to the same level, but being more consistent, then Palmer might even flourish even more, because less burden on him to do what he's doing right now. But it's the fact that none of our attackers, Terry, are consistent like he is. So we all we need, if we wouldn't be 8th right now, for example, in my opinion, if Nkunku was fit, if we had players who were actually consistent and said, you know what, I might be the best player right now, but I'm going to perform and try my hardest. I don't think a lot of them are doing that. So that's why Palmer stands out, because he's one of the only players who's actually like, you know what, I'm going to stand out. Even if people aren't doing their thing, like in the classroom where people are messing around, you need to do the right thing and like learn and like still do your work, because in the long run, you're going to benefit. And everyone else is messing around. It's going to get left behind, right? So that's why I think we probably need like another experienced attacker to come in, maybe to replace Sterling. I think he should leave.
I hear you on that. Ziad's here with us.
Everyone, if he leaves.
I get you, bro. Ziad's here with us now. Before we move on to another talking point, what's your takes, bro, on the Palmer performance today and what he's brought to Chelsea so far in his short career at Stamford Bridge?
Listen, I knew Cole Palmer. Yes, I hope you're all right.
I'm well, bro.
I know Cole Palmer. I knew Cole Palmer was a great player. I knew he was a good player. Well, I watched him a few times at sea, a few times in under 21s in England. But I'm surprised how he's doing at Chelsea. Very surprised. I knew he was going to be good for us, but this is like surprising me by a complete different degree. You know, even today, some of his little flicks and touches, his confidence on the ball. He's willing. He wants to collect the ball. He wants to be on the ball. He's confident. He's not scared to shoot, to make a pass. I mean, look, at the end of the day, he's passing everyone's expectations. He's getting the goals as well, which I like. You can have some good performances, but at the same time, when you play for Chelsea, you need GNA to back you, which he's got. Right? Which he's got the GNA
you
as well.
certainly need it. Certainly need it as an attacker, no doubt.
At the end of the day as well.
You're right. Ziad, you're right.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, look, he's passing.
He's a broken man. Terry. He's
expectation.
broken off the Middlesbrough.
Yeah, listen,
Ziad.
Terry. After that
He's
Middlesbrough game, I don't know anymore, man. It's Pochettino is buying himself some time. He's buying himself some time right now. I don't know how he's getting these wins. Certain performances from, someone like Cole Palmer, Noni came off the bench. It was done well. The sassy Thiago Silva, people that get a lot of criticism, but I think they've done well. Gusto, like you said, lucky man to stay on the pitch, in my opinion, man. That was a difficult. I'm surprised he didn't get sent off, to be honest. People can say it's the contact sport, whatnot. End of the day, when your starter showing like that and you've gone all over his shin, it's bound to be a red card. You can't do it nowadays. It's going to be a red card. But look, at the end of the day, a few terrible performances as well. Sterling, wow, shocking. Broja, shocking. Gallagher, not great. Enzo done well. Caicedo, for what he has to deal with, he's doing well, I think. He gets a lot of criticism, Caicedo, but every time I look at him, the guy looks so isolated. Every time he collects the ball from the defenders, he looks isolated. He's got no option but to go back. And hence why these rivals like to mock him, and some Chelsea fans get annoyed with him, because every time he gets the ball, he has to go back. Because the way the position he's being put in and the tactics around him, it's just killing him.
I tell you what, Terry, and this might surprise people. I think this side's missing Nico Jackson. I think it's missing Nico Jackson in some part. I think he's a better holder up of the ball. Now, you can say what you want about his finishing and stuff like that, but I think they're missing aspects of his game. I think Broja's a totally different type of striker to Nico Jackson.
Well, Broja holds the ball up, but then he don't let it go. He holds it well, and then he just doesn't give it to anybody. It's like
if you remember the second half, he was near the penalty area on his right foot, and instead of shooting, he decides to drag it back for no particular reason whatsoever. This is what I'm talking about earlier. Too many touches and too many passes. Just have a shot, see if it deflects and goes in. Just try it. You never know what's going to happen with this game. Just do it.
He gives me Giroud vibes, but he holds the ball up. He does well. He looks around. He's got good close control. When the ball's at his feet, he's got 2 or 3 defenders around him. And when I watch him tonight, especially, I'm like, this is like a young Giroud without the finishing product. I think Broja has something there. He's not at the level yet. Can he get there? We don't know. But the moment we took him off, we had no focal point. And you put Palmer, Palmer's, for me, class as. Not saying world class, but he's class. But you put him in that false 9. They played that midweek and it didn't work out. I mean, I'm not going to diss him for missing those chances against Middlesbrough. You can't put that pressure, put him up front as a 20-year-old kid. He's never really played that position. He's a attacking midfielder or winger. I don't know. For me, I feel Broja did well, but he just has no end product. And if you give him the chances, he can hold the ball up really well. And he did that tonight really well. Or out by the touch lines and stuff. He was able to hold that ball with 2 or 3 defenders there. The fact is,
I hear what you're saying.
Couldn't pass it off.
The problem is that when you're playing for Chelsea Football Club, Man United, Arsenal, they're doing the hold up thing and the running in behind. That's like the bare minimum. That's not even the bare minimum. That's just like standard. Like, you shouldn't be on the football. You can't do that. So I'm not going to praise him for doing that. What I would say is, he has a few chances. I don't know what game it was today, for example, where the ball comes across and he's just weak when he attacks it. Or he doesn't hit hard enough, or he's flimsy. He falls over. It's that's happening too often. That's why I just don't think he's good enough, because you don't need 10 games to see someone's good enough to play for a club.
He's all we got, though.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting about Broja? I would say this. Even that season that everyone raved about at
Southampton, I think.
Southampton, it was still only 6 goals in the whole season. So it was good for a player like 2 years ago, for a player that at the time was 20 years of age is good. But it wasn't groundbreaking. And I know he had that bad injury, but when I watch him, it's just one of those, like I told Chelsea's fans for about 5 years, just lobster's cheek, weren't it? Nor this guy. Good, but never going to be good enough to get you back to where you want to be. So I get we all romanticize over academy players making it, because there is something beautiful about it. When you've had great, and not every club's had great academy players. When you've had John Terry's, you get it. When you've had Paul Scholes' and David Beckham's, you get it. When you haven't, I think sometimes you can disregard it. We all want that again, like someone from the academy who spends his whole career at our club winning us the major trophies. There's something romantic. I think we can identify ourselves through those people as well. You listen to the Scouser speak about Steven Gerrard, and the same with Trent. They see themselves in him because he's from the same streets as them. He's from their area. A lot of the time they're local. So I get it. But bro, he's not here. I want to throw this out here. This is from Twisted. He says, Cole Palmer can't adapt. He's too one-dimensional. What you say? What you? I'm gonna go to Ziad first on that. What do you make of that comment here from Twisted Bubba, the Crystal Palace fan? He's one-dimensional. He says.
I don't even know what that means, man. We've seen Palmer perform on the right. We've seen him perform on the 10 and the 8. Now a false 9. Yeah, he missed a couple of chances in against Middlesbrough, but today to get thrown into the false 9 again. Mate, I think he was showing glimpses of better performances in the false 9 in terms of the little flicks, the little one-touch football, the combination with Noni on the right. Like, how can you say he's one-dimensional? He's probably the most versatile player we've got in the squad. Like, I've never seen someone who's so young and yet no matter what position he gets put in, every single week he gets put in a different position. Yet he performs and he gets the GNA. So I don't see where you're coming from in terms of he's one-dimensional and he can't adapt. You're playing with a Pochettino. Right, Pochettino clearly has got a clue what he's doing. You know, with some of the positions, I'm seeing certain players get. I'm seeing Broja go on the left. I'm seeing Sterling get on the right, and then go striker. But Palmer has to deal with that. So I think it's complete disrespect to Palmer. I mean, if there's anyone we're not going to criticize so far this season, it's Cole Palmer.
MJ here says that Cole Palmer is a Ross Barkley regen. Good flashes of brilliance being made to look good, but being in a poor team. Simple match.
Okay, let me destroy this right now. Ross Barkley came in when we had Eden Hazard, Pedro, Willian, Giroud, had a settled team, everything like that. And Ross Barkley never stood. He stood up for a 6-game period under Maurizio Sarri, and that's it during his whole time here. So it's not like that whatsoever. So you actually undermined your own argument by saying that because you obviously didn't look at the team we had. He was playing with a Hazard in his last season, playing out of his skin. Ross Barkley was not it. He was one of those ones that are overhyped. Now, what Cole Palmer needs to do is if we start getting the better players or they start maturing into a better team, they still stand out then. And then we can go, he can do it here, he can do it there. So that's what we need to do. But the Ross Barkley comparison is poor because you obviously don't remember who Ross Barkley was playing with at the time. So,
and also, you're not a Forest fan, so you're down there at the end of the table, so you can't really relate to situations because if you really think about it, if he was a Ross Barkley, flash. Ross Barkley's playing for Luton. What players are doing the numbers that Cole Palmer's doing? Oh wait, by the way,
I don't know how. I don't understand
what players. Is that simple? Like, what players are doing it? If it's so easy, Ross Barkley's playing for Luton? They're like 19th, 18th.
Well, yeah, this is it.
It was like it was that simple.
Twisted here says, Terry, would you buy Palmer for 100 million today? No, I'm not saying he's worth 100 million pound for how good he's been. He got bought for 45 million. I think if Chelsea put him on the market today because they had to, you're getting 65, 70 for him easily, if not a little bit more, because he demonstrated he can do it. And if you can, scoring goals is the hardest thing to do in football, and he's doing that. Creating is another hard thing to do, and he's doing that. He's young. He's got many, many years ahead of him, and he's got some good commerciality behind him as well. So look, at the end of the day, I think he's easily a 65 to 70 million pound player. And if I had the chance to have him come and play on that right-hand side of Man United's attack, get rid of Anthony, bring him in. I'm doing it every single day of the week, 110%. I'm doing that. We desperately miss Nico, hold-up play and link-up play. Broja isn't good enough. Chilwell at left wing again. Poch doesn't trust him in the back four. I did think that was weird. It was one of the questions I wanted to ask you all. When he brought Chilwell on, when I heard he was cut, my thought was, well, he'll bring him on for Sterling. He'll put him at left back, go to a free sort of a 3 centre backs, cram it, make it easy. I couldn't believe he kept it the same and just stuck a defender as a left inside forward. I couldn't believe it.
If you've been on Chelsea Online, this is the most predicted substitution all week, that when he's come on, he's going to play him at left wing. This is what we're talking about Poch playing people out of position. And this is what I was talking about earlier, that Chilwell substitution and the moving Palmer in the centre killed our momentum and our attack. It allowed Fulham back into the game for the last 15 minutes or so.
That's the problem with Poch, though.
I don't know what it is that he's got against left backs. I just do not know what this guy has got against actually playing left backs there. Now one's gone to Dortmund. He played Cooker at right back more than left back sometimes. And he played Chilwell more at left wing than he has at left back. And he plays a centre back who's not good at left back. I do not know what he has got or what he sees What?
This is what's do you know what? This is what's crazy for me, and I want to get your opinion on this, boys. So thank you for that super chat, brother. Really appreciate it. Sam, big up for watching, bro. I love the channel as well. So this is why I defended Poch. I got your defense of Poch, and I actually don't think Chelsea fans are saying stick with him for the time being. There's many more things behind the scenes to fix before we sack another manager. I'm not saying you're right, but I understand that take. The difference is this. If he continues to play 2, 3, 4 players out of position, even after they start to improve, even when they bring in experience, they're still going to fall short when it comes. They're still going to fall short by a club of their standards and with how much they're spending. That still needs to be fixed, irrespective of all the other components that are going wrong at the football club. So I understand people saying it's too early to sack Poch. It's definitely not too early to heavily criticize the things that he's doing wrong. In my personal opinion,
the players are killing
as an outsider,
the players are. Listen, at the end of the day, another game at home, where we see nothing from Pochettino. End of the day, we won that game because Sterling, a little bit of nice skill, won the penalty. Palmer scores the penalty, right? And then you look at it, he comes on, brings on a centre back to go 5 at the back. Why are you going 5 at the back for? We're winning the game against a Fulham team at home that are not doing anything. They were no danger to us whatsoever. Did you know what? The Fulham were most dangerous when we went to a 5 at the back.
I tell you,
that makes sense.
It wasn't 5 at the back.
Well, I mean, he bought an Alfie, and then Alfie was bringing up the 5 signal.
Right in. But he's had not when he bought Chilwell on. Chilwell was playing obviously left wing. But my thing is this: we've seen Pochettino today. He had a negative impact on this game. Man management
doesn't make sense.
Not starting lineup. Can't fault the starting lineup. Maybe like of the options that we had. Yeah, of the options that we had.
Maybe just chill off a cold. That's it, really.
Mate, no. But what I'm saying is the starting up, but the in-game management again. You see that he has had a negative impact on his in-game management. His substitutions are just appalling this season.
Thank you.
They're just appalling.
It doesn't make sense.
I don't understand them. I don't get the logic. There is no logic in some of his substitutions. I mean, I just don't understand this. Like I said, this Chilwell situation, because Terry actually learned. Chilwell was dropped from left wing before he got injured this season. So he actually learned that it wasn't working at left wing. So why would you then go back to it?
Yeah,
it's such a weird.
It
becomes a weird message. It becomes a weird message. Go on, Ches.
Yeah, do you know what's the weird thing? Yeah, all Chelsea fans agree on the panel here. Let me tell you this. Yeah. The issue is if you play players out of position, it doesn't work. You tried something new, it hasn't worked. Now go back to type. Yeah. But what he keeps doing is it doesn't work, and he persists with it not working. And to make it worse, we're not getting results. So now everyone's looking at him going, okay, so you're making people out of position, you're not playing well, and you're losing. So why are you then not changing it up again?
Yeah.
That's just like
he's gone back to it.
I totally get it. It was crazy. This super chat here says why. He might have switched it to a back 5 to give Chile match fitness without the pressure of potentially being twisted and turned.
Yeah, but
I think
he played him out of position.
But he only switched.
It doesn't matter what the reason is. It doesn't work.
He switched.
If it worked, we wouldn't complain.
But guys,
it doesn't work.
If you played him in position, he's got to get minutes in his position.
He switched to a back 5 only in those last few minutes. Chilwell came on at left wing.
Yeah, and that's when Fulham were most dangerous when we went to a back 5. Why are you allowing unnecessary pressure for what?
You know what, Terry? Those subs he was playing for a 1-0 win.
He's saving his job.
Get it right now. He was playing for a 1-0 win. That was scared.
He goes to a back 5. He's soaking it up.
Yeah, he was playing for a 1-0 win.
Jimmy here says Broja looks similar to Højlund. They are fast battering rams without any end product. They get praised for basically anything. Potato. I'm gonna be honest with you,
bro.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, in the Champions League alone, when I say Champions League alone, it's about the hardest cup competition in the world. Højlund in 6 months has scored more goals than Broja has in his entire Chelsea career. So for me, I don't know how good Højlund's going to become, but Højlund, in my view, will be a better striker and have a much better career than
Terry, I'll roll it down to even this. That Villa goal he scored, Broja's not scoring that type of goal that Højlund scored against Villa. And Bro doesn't have that.
Listen, that might be one I get wrong. I'm not saying Højlund's going to become Haaland, but I think he'll have a better career than Broja personally. Why do people do this to young English talent? Cole Palmer, who's GG?
I don't know.
When you say why did we do what? Overly criticize them, or do you think they're being hyped up? It's one of those two things. So I don't think Cole Palmer's being overly hyped up. I think he's being hyped up to a level that is representative of how well he's been so far this season.
Yeah,
Cole Palmer's like what we thought we would get when we got Havertz.
You know,
I mean,
I agree.
we spent £72 million on Havertz, and Cole Palmer, after we let Havertz go, has just done exactly everything we wanted from Havertz.
Exactly.
And I think that's the difference. I mean, like when we bought Havertz, everyone's like, he's a generational talent. He's this German generational talent. He's going to dominate leagues for years. He came to the Premier League and just did nothing. And now Cole Palmer's come from Man City, and everyone's like, you didn't do much at Man City, but you know what? He scored in the semi-final of the Champions League before they won it. He played a few games for them. He knew what it was to be a winner. He knew what it was to play under one of the best managers in the world under Pep. And he got there, and he's come to Chelsea to prove himself, and that's what we're getting. We're getting someone who understands what it is to be that kind of, no, I'm not going to say generational talent, but he understands what it is to be that kind of player.
Yeah, of course.
And we're seeing it now, and we're loving it.
Look, I think when it comes down to the situation with English players, I get some get overhyped and people get annoyed by it. I also think at times there's a really weird reaction to English players being discussed by the what is it called, the English media, because it always strikes me as strange that
why are you surprised? Yeah,
people get annoyed that the English media spend a lot of time talking about English players, and it's almost like they're ignoring the fact that you may not be English yourself, but this is a fact that always gets left out of the conversation. I see it online. There's a good 20 to 25 million people that watch Premier League football who don't support a Premier League team, whose collective vested interest is which talents can play for the national team. The same as, I'm sure, I haven't watched any of it, but I'm sure whether you go to Nigeria, whether you go to Australia, whether you go to America, whether you go to South Korea, whether you go to Germany, and you look at their Premier League specific shows, I bet they have moments and segments where they focus on the players from their nation that are there. And the more they have, the more focus there will be. There's only one South Korean. It's not going to be a very long segment. But if there was like half the South Korean squad playing in the Premier League, do you think the South Korean version of Match of the Day is going to spend hours talking about players from Nigeria, Spain, and England? Or are they going to be speaking about the South Korean players because there's a national interest for the viewers of that show watching it? The fact that gets ignored, I find it absolutely hilarious that gets ignored and it gets turned into something really weird. I'm not saying there are not dickheads online that are weird about nationalities of people and they should be rightfully called out. I just don't like it. I don't think any player should ever be judged based on their passport. As soon as you start doing that, that tells me that deep down inside you're a very nasty, cruel, potentially evil person. So I say drop it out.
Look at Sam Kerr.
Just moving on from that here. This is a surprise. Enzo played in his right position and was better. Potts will take Chelsea nowhere. Chilwell at left wing. What was that sub? Well, that's the irony. Next game, he might play Enzo as a 10 again, and that's when Chelsea fans get annoyed, I see. Enzo seems to get gassed for the last 30 minutes. Do you guys notice that? Does he run out of gas, in your opinion?
No, he was taking the ball up in the last few minutes. That's not true. That's what I mean. You weren't even watching the match. He was taking the ball up in the last few minutes. He was running the full length of the pitch. What are people? This is what I'm talking about agenda.
Makes me laugh,
I don't know what evidence he's using to suggest that statement. I don't know what he's looking at. I didn't see anything like that.
But what makes me laugh is that when Hussam put that kind of comment about this is why I back Poch. What do you mean this is why? Because Chelsea players won him the game.
3 wins in a row.
What did you see? What did you see, Hussam, from that game that you're like, you know what? That's why I'm backing Poch. Or what did you see that makes you think Chelsea fans should switch their minds and say, yeah, that's why I back Poch? What are you talking about, man? I saw bloody Broja picking up the ball on the left wing. Sterling running into God knows where. Gallagher, every time he gets the ball, he's got nowhere to pass to. Caicedo's isolated. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Leno had to make like 2 saves. The guy didn't do anything the whole game.
Rahman here says, Terry, put respect on Haaland's name. Listen, I would say out of all the social media content creators, if you're going to say about putting respect on his name, you can't look for anyone more than me. When he was still playing at Salzburg, I said he was a real deal and got laughed at. When I'd say 90% of other content creators were saying this guy looks like the Nordic Lukaku. Then when he came to the Premier League, my prediction was that he would break Mo Salah's record in 30 games, and I think he broke it before 30 games. And I was laughed at for having that opinion and called a fool and an idiot. So if there's anyone, like, I'm not the person that has to put respect on his name. I think he's an absolute star. To be fair, I love Enzo, boys. No agenda, chill. Yeah, I don't think it's him. I think the team.
Oh, sorry.
I think your team gets lost in the last 30 minutes and nervous. And I think it makes everybody look a little bit all at sea.
1-0, of course.
Yeah. I mean, hype them up, then tear them down. GD means good. Look, I look at it this way. I don't think they get hype. The media might hype them up to tear them down, but they do it to everybody because that's how you sell. That's how they sell their newspapers. They make you love someone, and then they put out bad stories because then you're going to read it because you love them. But fans do it, but they don't do it in a. The fans are not doing it from a situation of it's not premeditated. Fans will fall in love with a player that delivers for their club, and they'll turn on a player that damages their club. And that's because our sole objective as fans is for the club to be good. So we like the players, but the players should be a means to an end. I think that's what it is to me. Mudryk is finished. Chilwell coming on at left wing after being out for 5 months is telling. Enzo and Caicedo looks good despite Poch's BS tactics. Poch stroke Taylor out. I keep saying Chelsea fans haven't got the referee today. I just wanted to get your quick opinions on this. Do you guys think Gusto should have been sent off today?
100%.
Yes.
Oh, no.
100%. 100%.
Yes. Yeah.
Mate, you can't listen, like it or not, in football, man.
No,
Yeah, it was worse than the Villa
so.
one. You can't have your studs straight there. You can't.
do that.
You literally can't.
It was
The
definitely
reason why I'm saying no is because everyone was outraged at the Villa game when he got sent off. It's
They're
less.
for me, they're both red
He
cards.
deserved
It
it.
comes down to consistency of the
They're both red
referees.
cards. They're both
Villa
red
was
cards.
It's all consistency.
Yes, it was.
Like,
Well, they're
I'm telling
both
you
red
right
cards.
now.
End of the day,
I'm
you
telling
can't
you
put
right
your
now,
foot
guys.
there.
If that was
No, it's not about you can't put your foot there. He's not. He's.
there's no momentum. He got the ball. He got the boot. Like, it's a really bad challenge.
Yeah,
but he
you're gonna
got
get the ball if
he
your
got the
foot ends up
ball.
on your chin.
Yeah, but he only got the boot of the player. It's not like he got the top of the shin and everything. And like, he wasn't malicious. There was no momentum behind it. He just put his foot down. Like,
It has to be, man.
I
At the
don't
end
know
of
if
the
it's
day,
malicious, but there's no momentum. It wasn't trying to take the player out. Like,
Whether we think.
and if it's not called, it's consistency.
it's
It's
about
the
where your
referee's
foot ends up.
consistency.
There's two different questions in this because there's two different questions Ziad and Andrew's touching on. Are we saying is it a red card or should it be? Because if we're saying it should be,
Well,
it probably should.
I want your opinion.
Right?
Yeah, well, I want people's opinions on this. For me,
But that's it.
I look at it as, for me, it was a real 50-50. If he gets sent off,
No one's
Can't
saying
complain.
really,
so you can't really argue. But I also understand why a yellow card was given because there wasn't a lunge. He wasn't off the ground. There's a few factors in there, but I think it's what's interesting about the consistency is a lot of people will look at it and think, well, he got sent off for a similar one earlier on in the year. You look at the Calvert Lewin red card recently. You look at what Casemiro went through last year. So there's been a number of examples. I think Curtis Jones sent off for something similar earlier on in the season. So I think the problem people have is a lack of consistency. With
But that's why I talk about Terry. VAR's not the problem. It's whoever's running it on the day.
No, I agree with
That's
that.
it.
See here. This will cheer everyone up before the end of the show. I've seen the comment. Ange Postecoglou has come out and said that Spurs are in a title race. Chelsea fans, do you agree?
Yes.
I have Ange
Yes,
Postecoglou as an Australian.
You
That's
agree,
fine.
Andrew? What are you talking? Come on, man. Get them out of here, bro. Tottenham Hotspur in the title race. Don't make me laugh, man.
We'll definitely be talking more about that on the show tomorrow after Man United versus whatever they're called. Man United versus Tottenham. We'll be getting that done. We're live today after Newcastle Man City as well. So make sure you're all back for that reaction because Newcastle could be going above Chelsea.
Come on, City.
What does it mean
Come on,
for the
City.
title race as well?
City.
Come on,
Until next time, people, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see
Thanks,
you all
Andy.
again